Hi there, I'm Samuel Doveri Vesterbye, Director of the ENC and host of MEDIATIZED EU podcast series. Today's discussion is really part of a series of podcasts dedicated to the EU-funded Horizon project called MEDIATIZED EU, which studies how the media discourses are constructed to foster or hamper the European project and how they resonate among the public by focusing on the so-called elite media public triangle. Today's recording will kind of help us and the audience, meaning policymakers, academics, journalists, and of course the general population, really understand how the project's research components, such as media analysis, as well as what we call the elite interviews, really kind of give a perspective on media in each of the target countries. And I will take the opportunity today to plug our research project by saying that, of course, if you in the audience are interested in finding out more about the project as well as the people behind it, like yourselves from Estonia, all you have to do is really visit our website at www.mediatized.eu or subscribe to our newsletter and or follow us on Twitter at mediatized_EU. But perhaps let me start by introducing my research colleague here with me today from Estonia. Dr. Barbi Pilvre is a researcher at Tallinn University of Technology, also known as TalTech. And today it'd be wonderful really to talk a little bit about the research, especially from the Estonian perspective. In our podcast series, we get to talk to each of our partners. Each one of them essentially give the perspective from each of the countries that are involved, including Spain, Portugal, Belgium, Ireland, Georgia, and of course, Estonia in your case. And we're now on our 28th month of the project, and we've completed the media analysis, which was essentially the second phase after the desk research. And the media analysis went through this kind of comprehensive mining of media outlets in each of our countries, where we went through thousands and thousands of transcripts essentially from the media, from print to television and so forth. And now we're on the interview stage, or finalizing the interview stage of the elite interviews, which are journalists as well as politicians. And so let me perhaps start by asking you, how has this process been going? What can you tell us about this process, and what have your key findings been from Estonia?
Thank you very much for inviting me to this podcast, and let me tell about the Estonian results. So in Estonia, the main result, the main finding was that the media scenery is actually very much polarized. As we analyzed our mainstream big dailies, also Russian language dailies, and then the kind of oppositional media, two outlets. So the Estonian society is also quite polarized. One part of our society is liberal and European-minded, and another part is quite conservative, and there are regional differences and also differences which concern ethnicity, but I think that as this media results reflect very much this polarization of our Estonian society, which is almost a political crisis. So we had just elections, and the liberals won, and we are lucky to be on the course of European Union, of course, and all those liberal values, what we have accepted in our country. But the other part of the society is actually criticizing very harshly all what the government is doing, and also you can find many statements which are anti-European. So you can find statements which are critical about European values, which concerns including all minorities, for instance. The discourses can be also anti-migration, then anti-feminism. Of course, LGBT movement is like criticized in this anti-European discourse, and also the green turn, which is like the climate change issues and things like that are harshly criticized in this part of the media. But this is the oppositional media, which includes Uued Uudised and Objektiiv, which are actually by many not even regarded like proper mainstream media issues because or outlets, because they are controlled by a conservative party EKRE, which is a leading oppositional party and which actually are kind of a propaganda outlets. But still they have their readership. They are followed by many people, and I'm sorry to say that people are also manipulated by the content of those outlets. But if you look at the like white journalism in Estonia or mainstream media outlets, they are regarding belonging to European Union and all those values and the processes like our everyday life. So what you find is like regular information about some new laws or regulations, so they are commented but mostly briefly informed about. Of course, there's lots of information about the climate aims, all the issues which are kind of official agenda of European Union, you can find it in our mainstream big dailies and also the public broadcast news. Well, I hope that European mindedness people remain and political parties remain in power in Estonia. So you can say that that we are really part of the European Union, and we have been successful as a newer member of European Union. But still, I think that all this benefits and benefits of belonging to this club have been also realized by all the institutions of Estonia actually, but this problem of the political opposition, and as they are not in power, so it still attracts too many people in Estonia.
And so when you went through these thousands essentially of transcripts of various type of media, opposition, government, I guess left-leaning, right-leaning, and so forth, you discovered that there is all this polarization ongoing. But beyond polarization, did you also see other trends or dominant discourses? Did you find some unexpected findings in that media?
Well, there were no bigger surprises, but still, what was a surprise that this the discourse in the anti-European outlets, Uued Uudised and Objektiiv, it's so kind of aggressive and kind of mixes up everything in their content, and so I actually do not follow those outlets regularly, and well, when you analyze this and start reading, then really you think that what's going on, what's wrong with those people or those parties, so they can't really understand how lucky Estonia is that we are part of European Union. Well, so but you have to keep in mind that those people who follow those papers, they exist, you can't deny them, and the popularity of the party which supports those outlets, it's actually the second popular party in Estonia, and there is a possibility that it might be a ruling party one day. So it's not impossible that we have a similar turn like there has happened in Hungary or somewhere. So, and what Europeanness is valued in a way in those anti-European papers as it is conducted, or as they see it, and the life and government of Poland and Hungary, how they think about Europeanness. So that could be like possible Europeanness to those conservative oppositional media outlets and also the parties. But still this I think that as we have been in European Union since 2004, so it's a long period actually. So we have we kind of take it for granted in our in our mainstream media and journalists, somehow young generation who have just worked during the time of European Union. So it's kind of official ideology or official way of thinking of things, and all those regulations and rules somehow are not questioned too much in our mainstream outlets. So the contrast is very big actually, and maybe that was not a surprise, but we could expect it, but still maybe the kind of main thing what we found there.
So that was a great explanation of the media analysis, which of course is a substantial part of all our consortium partners' research. But then we've also had to supplement this research with another methodological step, which is the elite interviews. And interestingly, we are looking at, in our case as well, in all consortium partners' cases, we're looking at media experts, journalists, and politicians of different kinds across different spectrums. And so I guess my question is essentially to you, now having moved into a time in which the Ukraine war has started, and many changes have occurred. Number one, what were the findings from the elite interviews in Estonia? But I guess also a supplement question would be, did you find that the discourse depolarized as a result of, for example, these concepts like the war in Ukraine, which perhaps has a specific effect on your country?
Well, yes, it's a kind of a problem that the media analysis is from the time before the war. We tried to include some material when the war started, but then we had those deadlines, and actually the content, the change which occurred with the war is not reflected in the media analysis. The main problem before the war was COVID. So what do we think about COVID now? Nothing actually, as just some kind of memories of those restrictions. And so we have the data of the media analysis, and then we, of course, took those discourses and made our interviews with politicians and media of leading journalists and influential editors. So, our society has not depolarized because of the war, but of course, the security issues are different. Before the war, the security issues included a border crisis between Lithuania and Belarus, with those with migrants, which were kind of manipulation from Belarus and probably Russia behind it to test European Union and its unity.
This was also a major dominant discourse in the Belgian case.
Yeah, so it was a big issue. So, but when the war started, then somehow everything was other problems seemed so minimal, so they somehow disappeared from our radar. So the interviews very much, of course, the questions were formed on the results of the media analysis, but then what concerns, for instance, security, then there was a kind of interesting finding that the question that does European Union is it a guarantee for security? So it was answered no by many politicians, because NATO is regarded as a guarantee for security. And before the war and during the migration crisis, somehow European Union was like a main actor to help and guarantee the security of the borders and help in migration crisis and so this all looked very small during those interviews with the politicians and journalists. So there are like other issues which are dominant, and of course the influence of Russia is also looked differently now. So it was like of course many people it was like visible in the media discourse that Russia is player somewhere there behind, but now after the war started, so you just Russia is a different player. So
absolutely.
So you have to just think about also the limits of European Union concerning the security issues, for instance. So it doesn't really guarantee the like security of our borders if we don't belong to NATO, and such things came out very clearly. So European Union and its unity and the values are very important still, of course, and the value discussion is still going on, but as the security issues somehow prevail and dominate and take over the whole discourse, so it has to be kept in mind. So when we take all the results of the media analysis and the interviews, we have to keep in mind that it was a major change of epoch in February 2022, so we can't deny it. So the meaning of European Union probably has also changed a bit.
And you see that in the elite interviews as well?
Yes, yeah, because we, as Estonia is so small, so we have interviewed really many influential politicians, because they are just there. You just have access to many people who really make decisions in Estonian political scenes. So what they talk makes sense, and yeah. So we have to rely on also different structures than European Union, and they talk about it.
We are hitting the 15-20 minute margin, and I want to try to stay on time. So at this point, I'd like to essentially thank you for giving us an opportunity to very briefly get a sneak peek of the Estonian findings. And again, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting.
I'm Doveri Vesterbye, and this was MEDIATIZED EU podcast series.
Thank you very much.